Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So today we have with us Ms. Afra Sabir Hussain. She is a current incoming student at University of Pacific UOP in California. She'll be joining the class of 2027, and she is originally from Pakistan, and she graduated her BDS in the year 2022, and then she soon immigrated to the US. She gave her INBD, TOEFL, and also she did two CAAPID cycles. So in her first cycle, she applied and then she got interviewed, and in the second cycle, she applied and she got accepted in UOP. So congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. So we have a couple of questions that we're going to dive in today. And so to all our viewers, especially I have a lot of questions coming in from Pakistan. They're like, is it the same process for Indians and Pakistanis? So what do you have to say for that?
Oh, it's the same. If either you're from Pakistan or India or Bangladesh or South America, it's the same. If you're an international dentist, it's gonna be the same process.
Yes, I totally agree with that. So what do you mind explaining a bit about the advanced standing program?
So when you are a dentist in another country, you cannot practice in the United States. So what the US wants you to do is basically they want you to do 2 more years of school. Some schools have it like 26 months, 27 months. 2 to 3 years is basically what they want you to do all over again. So basically, if you wanted to become a dentist in the United States, you have to do 2 to 3 years of school all over again, and that's how you end up getting your license as a general dentist to practice in the States.
Yeah, thank you so much for that beautiful explanation. Yes, that some people say, "Oh, do I have to repeat BDS?" But I've heard many people they call it as revalidation. You come here to a new
Oh,
country and like you kind of revalidate your degree. So I think that's like a very positive term rather than saying, "Oh, I have to repeat,"
yeah.
my BDS. And what do you think are the key components of a strong application? Because you did this CAPIT cycle recently. So, according to you, what do you think are the main things which the schools are looking for? Oh, one.
Feel like the trend that I've noticed in the last cycle and in this cycle was they're not looking for one particular thing. They want like a well rounded person, a well rounded candidate, a well rounded profile. They would want to see that you're obviously you want to show that you're a good clinician, you have this experience, you have this degree, but you also want to show something that makes you stand out because let's just get it straight, all of us are dentists. So what is something that makes you stand out? But I feel like just pick out one of the strong points that you have. Either you have like a really strong hobby, or you have like a business or any sort of like a vision. Whatever you have, just make sure that you put it in your resume, because in your personal statement, sorry, because if they're reading like if if a person who's sitting in the school and he's reading like 1000 personal statements, how are you going to make yourself stand out? But in general, for the whole profile, I feel like letter of recommendations, SOP, and resume is like something that's really important. And TOEFL and INBD is a prerequisite. It's not like it's important to get admission, it is required to get admission.
What role do you think TOEFL plays in the application? Because a lot of students they struggle with TOEFL, scoring high marks. So, according to you, what is the ideal score? And do you want to share about your journey as well?
Yeah, so I think it's less of an English test. It's more of a statistical test. Like you got to be on time. You need to be like really calm and relaxed, but like be on time. But I think that school is not just looking for like your like one particular score. As long as you as long as you meet the requirement, like if a school is saying that we need 100, they need 100. Don't get like 85 and then apply to the school. Like when I took my first TOEFL, I had a 99. And I knew that for schools like NYU, they put it on their website that if you have, we need 3 digit score, and there's no exception. But I got interviewed at Temple, I got interviewed at Colorado. Then, when I increased my score to 108, then I got interviewed at other schools which said that they need something that's 100 and plus. They're not gonna make like TOEFL is not a red flag. Like, oh, you have a 95, I'm not gonna give you admission. I know friends who got in by 94, and I know friends who did not get in this cycle having 115. So they just want to make sure that you can communicate with the patient, you can blend in with the American society, and if as a clinician you know how to speak English, how to understand, then you can communicate the needs and the treatment of the patient better. So it's one thing, it's not everything.
All right. So how important do you think clinical experience is, especially back in home country? I know, like in Pakistan, they have this internship, but it's not mandatory to do your house job
Yeah.
after your graduation. So you finished your BDS and immediately you moved here. So how much do you think clinical experience is valuable?
So in my case, I completed my final year and I moved here because I knew that I just wanted to get in right away. I know a lot of people who practiced there, who did their house jobs, and they got in, but I also got in and I did not do my house job. I just completed my final year and I came in. The thing with this is like you have to present how your experience shaped you as a person. With me, I made it clear in my interviews, in my personal statement, that I'm young, I'm fresh out of dental school, but I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to, like, I won't say compete, but I'm willing to learn and grow with people who have like 10, 15 years of experience with who are sitting next to me in the same class. So it's the same thing that I knew that I didn't have enough experience in Pakistan. I basically had no experience in Pakistan. But when I moved here, I made sure that I tried to get as much exposure as I can to dentistry and the American society.
What factors do you think you were important to you when you were choosing or like selecting schools? Because in CAPID there are so many different options, and if you are like a green card holder, you can apply to almost all the programs. So, what made you pick and choose the programs?
So I think in my first cycle, I thought that, oh, well, I have a good profile. I'm working here, so I'll just get in. I was so hopeful because I was like, oh, I'm fresh out of school. I'm gonna get in. But so I just targeted schools that were like, I'm in Virginia, that's near DC, and I applied to schools that were like 4 or 5 hours drive. That's it because I thought, oh, I'll get in. But then later on, I realized that right now we're not in the boat that we really have the option to choose something, right? Right now, like beggars cannot be choosers. Right now, we really want to get in and start the American dream. So I would suggest that apply to as many as you can. I know it's really heavy on the pocket, but still try to just apply like wherever you can. But if you really want to choose, I think that you can look for program like I know a lot of people that do not want to give bench test. But I think if you do not want to prepare for bench test, and you don't prepare for bench test, and you just want to pick out the schools that are just interviews, then the probability of you getting in is decreasing. So I would say when you're picking out schools, do your research. Do not do your research about the prerequisites. Do not apply to schools that are saying that we need green card while you have a tourist visa. Do not apply to schools that are saying we need DATs and you don't have DAT. Do your research, learn all the prerequisites, learn everything that the school is wants or looking for. Some schools like straight up say that, I can't remember the school name, but I know that there was one school who had put on their website that we need 2 years of home country experience, and I did not have that. So I don't think that that made any sense for me to apply to that school. So I think apply to as many as you can, but just do your research about the schools.
What were the factors that played a role in you choosing a particular school?
So I think when I was doing it, I can share it as well. But I made I made like a huge Excel sheet, and I started writing down all the names of the schools. So I picked out the schools. I have green cards, so I picked out the schools that were like, we need green card holders. So those were my top priority. Second one was like I targeted schools that wanted like fresh graduates. There is no like there's not nowhere it's written that we need like fresh graduates or we need experience, but there's a trend that some people say, oh, XYZ school take experienced people, and some schools prefer fresh graduates because they're like easy to teach them. So do your research and make your Excel sheets. Do not depend on Facebook groups and CAAPID groups that, oh, someone else is going to make the sheet and send it, because no one's going to do that. Make your own, do your own research, because you know yourself better, you know your profile better, you know your experiences better.
Yeah. So you said earlier that like you did not do your internship back in Pakistan. For a lot of viewers, that's like kind of a doubt. Should I stay and do my house job or no? So what are your opinions or advice?
I think it depends on, I think the schools here understand that there's always life happening along the way. Like I could have done my house job, but I was supposed to get married. So if I wasn't married, I would have done my house job. And I had a few of my seniors who got in without doing house jobs. So that really kind of motivated me that, oh, they're from Pakistan, they're from the same school as me, and they got in, so there's hope for me too.
Yeah.
But if you do it, it's like learning is never gonna like do any harm to you. If you learn, if you get experience, it's always gonna help you one way or another. So do whatever suits your timeline, whatever suits you.
So UOP, it does not have a bench test, right? So it just has the interview process. And I think they also have like a school tour component during their interview. They call you in and then they kind of explain about their program, and it's pretty long, maybe 3 days. Like, isn't that right?
Yeah, it was 4 days.
Yeah. So how was your interview experience?
I think experience is gonna be different with like any place you interview at, because I interviewed at Temple. It was like coupled with the bench test. And then I interviewed at Colorado, that was completely different, and UOP was completely different. So it whenever you're interviewing, like try to connect with people who are from the same school, who've interviewed at the same school, that they can give you more insights about the school. So for example, Temple, they asked me a lot of questions. Like if it was almost, I think, 45 minutes of the interview, they asked me like for straight 20 minutes, it was just back to back clinical questions. Like I felt like I'm in a quiz. For Colorado, they had like a 60-minute interview, and they had kind of divided in like 20. So 20 minutes, they asked me questions about like behavioral questions, Casper questions. 20 minutes, it was like they were showing me x-rays and, oh, what is the definitive diagnosis? What tooth number is that? All that. And then 20 minutes, they were like, oh, what are your hobbies? Where is your family and stuff? For UOP, it was a completely different experience because they had one written exam that was a non-dental. Anyone who is given Casper, that's like a behavioral question, that like an ethical dilemma, that they're going to give you one scenario and expect from you to give an answer. And then for the interview, UOP did not ask me anything about my resume, which other schools did. They did not ask me about my personal statement. They just asked me like then and there in the present who I am as a person. So I think it's like a interview is like a different experience. You cannot just like cram answers to like the basic interview questions and think that I'm gonna pass the interview.
So I know in some schools they ask for like behavioral questions. They have Casper as a part of their interview process and selection. So do you mind explaining a bit about that?
Sure. So Casper is basically like an hour-long test, and you can give it online, and you don't need any preparation for that. It's basically like you can go through the practice test, but it's just behavioral questions. Like they're gonna throw you a scenario, and then they're gonna expect from you like how are you gonna deal with it, right? So they want to know that they basically want to know that how do you handle stress, how do you work under stressful conditions, how quick can you take an action, right? Because in dentistry sometimes we gotta be quick and rapid, so they just want to judge that.
So, what visa options do you think are available for somebody who wants to do the DDS process, especially from people from Pakistan? They ask me, I don't have anybody who's over here, so how can I come? So, what are your advice for them?
So for me, I did not have anything until my third year of dental school. So I applied tourist visa, and then I came here and I shadowed and I started shadowing. But if I think the best possible case for anyone who's studying right now, who's in like in first or second year of dental school, is to just secure a student visa. Just secure a tourist visa, because that's a 5 year long visa. You can either, if you're in final year, you can just book your INPT and then you can apply for the visa. But usually in Pakistan, it takes like almost a year to get the interview because the wait list is really long. So if you are in final year, do not book your exam right away and then wait for the interview, because your test cannot get rescheduled. Your dent pin has an expiration date. So do not do that. Try to get the visa first, or try to get the interview the date first, and then book your exam date. But if you do not have or you can just apply for a conference, and then you can apply for the tourist visa, and then you can tell them that, hey, I'm going for this XYZ dental conference, I'm a dental student, I'm really interested in seeing how things are in the United States. So you can just do that. Other than that, you have dependent visa, but you need like a spouse for that, or a parent for that, who's been working here or has been living here, or you need a green card, or you need to be a citizen.
Thank you. So, what advice do you have for somebody who's watching this video and who's applying in this current cycle?
I think from my experience, I waited like 2 good years to get into one school. So I think I would just advise that things might not happen on your timeline. Like God has his plan and he's gonna just set you in the right direction. So don't be too hard on yourself. All of us have worked really hard. You have the American dream. It's gonna come true one day. But don't be too hard on yourself. Like I remember when it was like my second cycle and it was already August and I did not get any interview invites. I was like obsessed, like paranoid, and I'm like going through my personal statement over and over again, and I'm like, this is bad, this line is bad, this word is bad, and going through my resume, oh, I shouldn't have wrote it this way. And then when it happens, it just happens. And then you won't believe, like one day I was just sitting during my lunch and I saw this email like, oh, you got accepted, and I'm like, whoa, yay. So I think you just need one school and one seat. You don't need anything else. So trust in yourself, trust in your journey, and you worked really hard. Don't lose hope. Everyone gets in. Third cycle, fourth cycle, first cycle, second, everyone gets in.
So thank you so much for all your advice. I'm sure like a lot of people who are watching this video would gain more insight into the process. And since you recently been through this process, I'm guessing it's going to be the same for the upcoming cycle. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.